I'm going to demonstrate the cascade stitch in brioche. This is a multiple of 4 plus 1 to give me some edge stitches to work with. I've already cast on using the Italian cast on method, which creates a very stretchy cast on. The cascade pattern will create a scalloped edge, so the stretchier the cast on, the better, although you can use any cast on for this method. The first stitch in my pattern is a knit one, and I'm going to show you this in throwing method first, and then I'll switch to continental so you can see both handholds. I'm going to knit the first stitch. Now my next stitch is called the yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, yarn over. That's a mouthful. So I'm going to bring the yarn forward. I'm going to slip the next stitch purlwise, taking the yarn over the needle, back to the front, and as I knit the next 3 stitches, I've created another yarn over the top of the needle. And you can see here, here's my first knit stitch, and there's my last knit stitch. And I now have my slip stitch plus 2 yarn overs grouped together with that stitch. What I'm doing is creating an extra long yarn over that will be dropped in the next row, as you'll see. Knit the next 3 stitches, so there's 2, 3, and bring the yarn forward. I'm going to slip the next stitch purlwise, take the yarn over the needle once, and as I knit the next 3 stitches, it'll go over the needle again. Now I'm going to switch to continental, which is a little bit more comfortable for me when knitting this stitch pattern. So there's knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, bring the yarn forward, slip that stitch purlwise, taking the yarn over the needle once, back to the front between the needle, over the needle again, knit the next 3 stitches, now I'm ready to do my yarn forward, slip 1, yarn over the needle once, yarn over the needle twice, and knit the last 3 stitches. One color brioche, so I don't need to slip my stitches to the other end of the row. I'm just going to turn my work. Now, this is where in this stitch it's going to get a little tricky because these stitches will want to twist on you, and it's important to keep them oriented so that the knots are at the bottom of your needle so that they don't rotate around on the needle. And I'll probably get some rotation. I can show you how to fix it. Okay, so now I'm ready to work back on my next row. I'm going to simply purl now these 3 stitches. And I'm going to get now to my slipped combination. So here next on the needle I have kind of this mess here. What this really is 1 slip stitch right there and 2 yarn over loops. So I'm going to do a combination of things. I'm going to slip that stitch, and at the same time you can see here I've caught one of the yarn over wraps but not the other one. And in doing that I'm going to release the yarn over, so I only have now 1 big long loop and my slip stitch. As I'm doing that, I'm going to also take the yarn over the needle again so that I create yet another yarn over. Bring it back to the front and purl my next 3 stitches. And let me do that one more time so that you can see. I'm going to find my slip stitch in there and catch one of my yarn over wraps. So there's the slip stitch and there's one of my yarn over wraps. Taking the yarn over the needle as I slip all that off to create yet another yarn over. Come back to the front and I'm going to purl 3. Now I'll switch to show you what it looks like as a throwing method. So again, I'm going to purl, there's 2, purl 3. Bear with me, this is a bit awkward for me. Now I'm ready to slip my stitch and one of my yarn over wraps. So I'm going to drop the other wrap off the needle, creating a long loop. Now all I do is take the yarn over the needle, back to the front, ready to purl. And I've created another wrap, ready to purl. Purl 3, 2, 3. And I've got another combination here that I'm going to, with my yarn forward, slip my stitch and one of the yarn overs, releasing the other yarn over wrap off the needle, creating that extra long loop there. Take the yarn over the needle, back to the front, and purl the last stitch. Turning my work now at the end of the row, And here you can see, look, it started to rotate around the needle. So just work everything by pushing it back around the needle so that all of your knots line up on the bottom. And just keep doing that in that orientation as they twist around on you. Once you get a couple of rows knitted, that won't be an issue anymore, but at the very beginning, it can be quite frustrating to try to figure out what orientation is right as these guys twist around the needle. Okay, now I'm gonna knit my first stitch again. And I've got here a kind of whole mess here. In this mess is one slip stitch, the original slip stitch, and 2 yarn over wraps. There's the one yarn over wrap, and there's the other yarn over wrap, and there's the original slip stitch. So with the yarn in front, I'm going to bring the yarn to the front. I'm just going to slip all of those, the stitches and the 2 wraps. That's what those plus signs mean in the pattern. You're going to slip the original stitch plus its 2 wraps, and at the same time make another wrap over the top of that needle by taking the yarn over the top, back to the front between the needles, and I'm sorry, just over the top, because I'm going to knit 3. Knit the next 3. Now bring the yarn forward. I'm going to slip all those guys again. I'm slipping the original stitch plus the 2 yarn overs wraps, and at the same time I'm going to create another yarn over wrap by taking the yarn over the needle and knitting the next 3. And again, let me just switch here to show you what it looks like in the throwing method. Knit one more. Yarn forward, slip the stitch plus the 2 previous yarn over wraps, create another yarn over wrap by taking the yarn over the needle and knitting again. Knit 3, one more combination here. Now here you can see it started to rotate around on me. Just push those knots back down to the bottom of the needle and slip, bring the yarn forward and slip the stitch and the 2 yarn overs, making another yarn over by taking the yarn to the back to knit the last 3 stitches. I'm going to turn the work. And again, you can see everything wanting to twist, so when I turn the work, I'm going to twist everything back around the needle by pushing all those knots down to the bottom, pushing the rotations to the back. Keep twisting them back around. Okay. This is a purl row, so purl background row, so I'm going to purl this first stitch and switch back over to Continental. Purl 3. Again, I got this whole mess of stitches here. It's the stitch plus 3 yarn over wraps, and I'm going to slip all of those together and create yet one more yarn over, purl the next 3 stitches. And here I've come to another slip stitch yarn over wrap combination. In here is my original slip stitch and now 3 yarn overs. I'm going to create yet another yarn over as I slip all of these together by taking the working yarn over the top of the needle and back to the front between the 3 needles ready to purl. And let me purl 2, and I'll switch over here to show you what it looks like. I purl my last stitch. Now I'm going to slip all of those together, take my working yarn over the needle, back to the front, and purl my last 3. And there, I've got to push that back down again, slip all of those, the stitch plus the 3 yarn overs, create another yarn over by taking the working yarn back to the front and purl the last stitch. Turn my work, and now I'm ready to do my final row of the first 4 rows of the pattern. And again, just keep twisting that work back around. Okay. You can see I'm running out of yarn a little bit here. The last row, I'm going to knit my first stitch. Should have enough to get across this row. Make sure. Knit my first stitch. And now I'm going to bark or knit all of these together. So you got to work your needle in there a little bit. Make sure you catch the stitch plus all the yarn over wraps. So look through the back. Make sure you've caught the stitch itself and all the yarn over wraps, and knit all of those together. And what you're creating is a little cascade bundle of stitches there and yarn over wraps that will create the texture of the pattern as you continue to work rows. So again, I'm going to knit 3, and now I'm going to, again, I've come back to my bundle, twist everything back down so that your knots are all at the bottom of the needle. Insert your right needle tip knitwise into that whole bundle. Now there you can see I did not catch the stitch itself, so I need to make sure, get the needle through, catch the stitch. There we go. Catch the stitch itself and knit the bundle together. Knit 3. Let me switch to continental just so you can see that side. Keep twisting everything back and down. Knit 3. Here I come to another bundle. I'm going to working needle tip through all of everything there. Catch the bundle. Oops, that yarn over needed to go with it. And knit the next 3. Push those threads around. Knit that bundle together. That's the bark plus 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 plus. Sorry, it's a bark plus 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 1 stitch, and knit the last 3. And you've completed the pattern stitch. As you turn it around, this is actually the side 2. You can see those lovely scallops starting to develop there. You turn it around. To this side, you can begin to see the little cascades that are formed by knitting all of those yarn over wraps together in the bundle.